juice isn't worth the squeeze, and we're going to see people that are going to successfully adopt and deploy it, and some that are going to try and fail. We're also in the midst of a serious hype cycle. And that hype cycle means that a lot of these businesses are likely overvalued right now.
This is All Things Fitness and Wellness, hosted by Chrissy Van. Together, we're uniting industry thought leaders and fitfluencers on the mission to inspire innovation and encourage people to live a life fit and well.
On the ATFW Podcast, we dive deep with leaders shaping fitness and wellness. And this time, I took the show on the road to Beyond Activ in Dallas to capture the energy on the ground, the quick takes, sharp insights, and even a few playful predictions. That's the idea behind today's ATFW Soundbite Sessions, short conversations where leaders cut straight to the heart of the themes dominating the industry. Joining us this episode, we have Adam Zeitsiff, CEO of Dominique, Dawes, Gymnastics and Ninja Academy, Bryan, who's a seasoned CEO and board director, and Craytor, CEO of ACAC Fitness and Wellness Centers and Weld Health. Before we get to it, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes weekly featuring industry thought leaders and influencers. I'm your host, Chrissy Van, and this is ATFW. Obviously, I've had a lot of conversations today that have kind of been centered around Gen Z and above. We know that there's a huge influx of that generation getting into the gyms. Other people talking about active aging, but you have really transitioned to specialize with a subset that needs a lot of attention. So elaborate a little bit about our youth of today. Are they physically active enough? Where is the lack?
Yeah, unfortunately, Chrissy, today kids are spending about 7 hours a day between school and home on screens. So they're very sedentary, they're inactive, and they're doing only 25 minutes of physical activity a day compared to 7 hours of school or home-based screen time. So kids are not getting active, they're building a sedentary lifestyle, and sedentary kids become sedentary adults. And that's a real problem in this country, both for our country, from a national security perspective, and just in general for the future of our growth as a nation. And so we're trying to, here at Dominique Dawes Academy, build something that allows kids to get off the couch, have some fun, and try to stave off this 30% obesity epidemic that we're going to see by 2030 here in the United States. 30% of our kids are going to be considered obese.
So obviously you're very familiar with traditional operations, so talk to me a little bit, because there's one thing to have an idea and a concept, it's another to get people to add that to the kids' schedules. I mean, anyone that has children knows some of those extracurriculars and whittling around, they really need to understand the why before the sign up. So tell me a little bit about the experience and why it works.
Yeah, you know, parents are always looking to keep their kids busy. I've got a 25-year-old and I've got a 6-year-old, so I know the range in between, and I think it's important, especially in this day and age with the screen time, but also things like ADHD and things that are keeping kids really hyperactive, to get them out and get the energy out. So parents are looking for that, and they're looking for classes that, most importantly, their kids come off the floor and they're smiling and they're sweaty and they're happy. And sometimes mom and dad are looking down at their phone, but when they look up and they see Sally laughing and having fun, or little Johnny having a good time on a ninja rig, they love that. So you've got a bit convenient class schedules, and you've got to have a good product that really is focused on getting the kids happy and active and strong, and not trying to build some kind of tremendous world-class athlete.
Well, talking before this, I understand Path of Growth is the name of the game for you right now. So talk to me about how this sector and space is growing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real big focus on child activity centers, youth fitness right now. Private equity is really getting involved. We're private equity backed now. So the growth in this market over the next 5 to 10 years is tremendous. We've got 3 gyms in Maryland right now. We've got 1 opening in Ashburn, Virginia. And we've got leases signed up and down the East Coast, Charlotte, Atlanta, Florida, even in my home state of Texas.
Obviously, we're here at Beyond Activ. The name of the game is networking. I'm curious, we're about 3/4 through the day so far. So what conversations have been dominating with your colleagues when it comes to either positives or pain points?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I think one of the things that we found is there's still that push-pull, where how does health and fitness, whether it's adults or kids, and healthcare kind of come together and work together? That's been a big topic of conversation. How do you work with doctors to get them to trust you as a health brand? And I think this whole technology thing, I mean, AI is overused, but what it's doing is making technology come back to the forefront. People are having a hard time understanding, how do I actually use this? How do I make money with AI or save money and not just say that I've deployed something? So those have been most of the conversations I've heard so far.
Do you have any hands-on experience in what that looks like in your capacity or operations? Because it's exactly that. I mean, AI, it's been such surface level conversation. Then you have all these companies that have come up, and obviously there's legitimacy to many. Because it's very buzzword, there's also some smoke and mirrors that are very well funded, I believe, that we have in the space. So what's kind of your temperature check on what is an ROI or moving the needle right now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's three things. There's employee facing, and there's lots you can do to improve productivity for employees. Automatic reporting, analysis, suggestions from AI, and how a personal training team can be more efficient, how they can close more deals, how they can drive more results for their customers. From the executive perspective, really understanding churn and why and how and predicting it. AI is really good at that. And I've seen a lot of customer facing things. You've got your standard stuff like my AI customer service agent, but there's also the AI sales agent, and then there's more just the kind of overall AI concierge about this event, that event, and anything you can do to make the customer get the information they need quicker. AI has been helpful. So those are kind of the three areas I'm seeing right now.
Brilliant. And you got a little heads up on this, but FitnessIndustry 2025 gets Movie of the Year. What's the title and why?
I would call it Die Hard, because no matter what happens to this industry, COVID, drugs, GLPs, this industry never dies. It will continue to grow. It will thrive. And that's exactly what's going to happen, whether it's adults, kids. The health and fitness industry in this country is here to stay.
But Bryan, I'm so glad that you had the time today. We're at Beyond Activ 2025, and off camera here, we were kind of talking. We get to these conferences, and there's a lot of high-level recovery, longevity, the buzzwords. So which would you say is getting the most interest right now, or which sector when it comes to M&A activity or investment in the space? Because time and time again, I'm hearing a lot of people say the momentum now is here and we're in the upswing. So what do you foresee that looking like?
Well, the presentation on the Americas and South America in particular this morning was very interesting on Brazil as one example. And there are other emerging markets that are significant, the Middle East, a bunch of different countries that are emerging. So there's lots going on there. And the capital formation side, of course, there's a lot of dry powder, private equity and venture capital looking at not just the fitness space, but a lot of different spaces. And yes, consolidation has been a real thing. And we've seen very large transactions recently with EOS, Crunch, and others. I think there'll be an opportunity as this industry matures to see further consolidation. But I also think we're at a point of S-curve reinvention where these different types of models are emerging. Nothing that you haven't seen before in other consumer industries, retail, travel, bunches of different industries, where not only is the bricks and mortar component a big part of that and then reaching economies of scale through consolidation, but also re-engineering and reimagining consumer experience when it comes to digitization. So I think businesses have to ask themselves the questions, how can they best compete? And so I think you're going to see a whole menagerie of different scenarios playing out in the next 24 to 36 months.
Well, and you talk about this reimagining, and we were kind of speaking to this off camera here, that you come to these events and everyone's talking about how do we diversify our offering? What do we have to do to get more people in the door? I'm curious with your hot take here, should we be staying in our lane or should we have the multi-swim lane approach?
Yeah, it depends on what degree of risk different companies are willing to take on, how good they are at their core business, and where they see that risk and return. You always run the risk of diluting what you do when you try to do other things. So that comes down to strategy, and those are choices. And it comes down to saying, what is the best thing given my business model and the marketplace? We always have to be aware of change, but there's an old saying in the South, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, so people need to be very careful, as I know they are, with respect to making those decisions.
And AI, I know it makes our eyes roll at this point because it feels incredibly buzzy, and one thing in my experience I found, a lot of people talking about it, no one really getting granular about it in regards to the ROI for an operator. And I understand that we do need to automate, but what is hype, what is not?
Well, as a person who was talking about the revolution of technology starting almost 20 years ago and discussing what this is going to look like back in 2016 and 2017 pretty widely, I anticipated this, but I don't like to label it AI because honestly, LLMs in their demonstration of what they do are they're one component of a whole plethora of other technologies. And you can have really cool tools. The question is, what are you going to do with them? And so it's a novelty. It's a very powerful novelty, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze, and we're going to see people that are going to successfully adopt and deploy it, and some that are going to try and fail. We're also in the midst of a serious hype cycle. And that hype cycle means that a lot of these businesses are likely overvalued right now. We're going through that hype cycle, and then we'll go through a plateau of productivity once that corrects, like any new innovation and any new technology. Obviously, in the near term, in my own companies, we've been deploying the technologies for a couple of years now. And with respect to cost and automation, agentic technologies, those are going to offer us some cool things. The collection of data and being able to interpret it so you're taking action instead of just looking at reports like Fitness KPI and other brands are doing. So I think we're in early days, and we'll just have to see what ends up really being demonstrated as a kind of best practice.
We're getting to that point where the evidence will be shown very soon versus the thing that people are just talking about. You highlight there 2016, 2017, you were in the arena, you were having these conversations. So I'm curious, what's exciting you most now? What is the rumbling seed that no one's talking about yet that's sparking something in you that you see that maybe we don't?
Well, I don't pretend to think there's one common seed, and I don't get really excited per se anymore because I've been around for a long time. So only two things I really get excited about is my wife and Christmas. Everything else I take with a grain of salt because I think there is so much, and what anyone needs to be very careful of is not getting too caught up in the hype because we go through these cycles. Don't get too far over your skis, as they say. And make sure you're being measured in taking risk with these new technologies. But there's a whole plethora of things. You hear all the terms and buzzwords. We'll have to see what ends up happening in the coming years. I think I'm a big believer in execution and execution around the customer. So I think there's a great opportunity for innovation, but we'll see what sticks.
Fair enough. Well, if 2025 fitness industry had a movie, what would the title be?
Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
And I have to say, why?
You'll have to watch it to understand.
Chris, first of all, so happy to have you. That you were one of my first podcast guests.
Way back when.
Yes, and obviously the fitness industry consistently evolving. So in 2025, we're here at Beyond Activ. What are the conversations that are dominating the space here? Last year it was everything AI, but let's get a little bit more granular than that.
Yeah, I think what I'm finding is a lot of club operators are really excited to, one, see each other. We all love to get together and talk. I think we're seeing a lot more activity in terms of mergers and acquisitions in the industry. You're seeing a lot more people looking to consolidate, and you're seeing a lot more investment. I think a lot of the big operators are looking out there and saying that we're a hot sector again, and there's a lot of areas in which people are investing their capital, and a lot of capital is still sitting on the sidelines. So I think a lot of the club folks I talk to are really excited about the opportunities to continue to grow and expand their businesses.
Now, when you talk about that investment, where are you seeing the biggest appetite?
Yeah, I think where you're seeing the biggest conversations around brands that have a very distinct and defined identity that creates a lot of opportunity for rapid expansion. So those companies that have really done a nice job of establishing themselves and being kind of the best in their particular field or their particular segment are winning, and you're seeing a lot of attractiveness for those brands. Likewise, you're seeing people who are single club operators or maybe of a small regional chains, maybe looking to exit as the owners and founders look for new opportunities. And so you're still seeing some of that by smaller growth or smaller activity, but really on the big side of the industry is those folks who have really established themselves with a consistent brand.
And for yourself, obviously being in the operator space, so as we look into 2026, what would be your biggest advice for operators out there? Something that they really should be concentrating on that if they miss, they're going to get left behind?
That's interesting. I really think, and this is maybe a tried answer, but really being solid on your operational foundation. Operational excellence never goes out of style, and I think it's really easy to chase that new next shiny thing. Oh, I need to be in this, or I need to be in that, and you're seeing what someone else is doing, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do that too, right? But I would just say that the most important thing is be really good at what you do, and really make sure operationally that you have a great foundation. We've had a good run in the fitness industry for the last couple of years, a lot of growth. We have no idea how long that's going to continue. And so those foundational elements are really what's going to set you up for success, even if the market does go against us at some point.
AI, it's a buzzword. What's hype, what's not? Where should the focus be?
Yeah, I love AI. It's going to be integrated into everything we're doing, right? Whether we like it or not. And I would encourage club operators to find ways to integrate it in ways that make sense for them. So your existing providers, whether on the member management side or even CRM tools, are already building these things, so you don't have to. But if I'm looking at how I deploy AI for ourselves, it's how do I actually reduce the burden of our internal team, and how do I use AI for our internal purposes to run a more efficient operation?
Okay, fitness industry, the documentary's coming out on Netflix in 2025. What's the title?
Yeah, I don't know about documentary, but I'll call it Fast and the Furious because I feel like there's always another sequel to this industry. There's always some other thing that's going to happen. I feel like just when I think they're out of movies, there's one more to write. And it also changes so rapidly and is super fun. I never get tired of it. It's been a good ride.
I knew there was a reason why I wanted that question. Thank you.
You've just listened to the All Things Fitness and Wellness podcast, hosted by Chrissy Van. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes weekly featuring industry insiders and influencers. Together, we're on a mission for everyone to live a life fit and well.